I did want to talk a little Jalen versus Patrick Mahomes MVP. Current NFL MVP odds at DraftKings, Patrick Mahomes minus 160 right now. Jalen Hurts plus 350. Tua sitting back there at 5-1. Here's a little stats for you. Patrick Mahomes, this is total yards. I think this is important. When you talk about Patrick Mahomes versus Jalen Hurts, you should talk about total yards. You should talk about total TDs because it's just this that kind of NFL we play in right now with quarterbacks where quarterbacks can run. Patrick Mahomes, 3,859 total yards, 30 total TDs, 8 interceptions, 9-2 record. Jalen Hurts, 3,157 total yards, 25 total TDs, 3 interceptions. Obviously, we know a 10-1 record. It's close, I think, in the MVP race. I think if you're a Jalen Hurts fan, you got to hope the voters love his story. Like the voters love a story. You know, a guy who was benched in the national championship, stays at the school, helps him get back to the national championship, transfers out of Oklahoma, goes to the NFL. No one believes in him. Basically was going to be run out of town by the end of the season, but instead captures the hearts of Philadelphians everywhere and proves all the doubters wrong. I mean, who doesn't want to vote for a story like that, especially if they go like 14-3 or 15-2 or whatnot? And then I would say if you're a Mahomes fan, you kind of just need Jalen Hurts to fall off a cliff and lose more games. That's really it. I think the voters kind of have Mahomes fatigue, kind of like when Jordan in the 90s, when they gave the MVP to Barkley, even though he's never won 2 MVPs, I don't think Mahomes, and kind of like when LeBron and they just gave the MVP to Derrick Rose that one year. Right now, I'll say it, I'm still going with Mahomes. I think if you watch that team is just humming offensively and whatnot. Who would you go with right now after I just read that out real quick?
I mean, it's hard for me to say anybody but Jalen Hurts just because I feel like I have bias from watching him every week. But I think what the larger story is like a referendum on how you view just say this for conversation's sake, how you view a quote unquote running quarterback versus a guy like Mahomes. You know, I mean, how do you parse his rushing stats and what he's done on the ground versus what Mahomes has done through the air? You know, like you're almost comparing apples and oranges, you know, with that. That's why it's fascinating to me because it's like I think there's some people who are looking at Jalen Hurts and are seeking validation for a Lamar Jackson kind of disrespect that he gets. Is like people saying, well, he can't get it done or that style is not sustainable or whatever, you know. But I mean, if you look at how they use, you know, one of the things I always talk about in the NBA MVP race is like usage and how people are deployed and how often they touch the ball and stuff. I want to say that Hurts still leads the NFL. I just closed down Sport Radar. I should have kept it up. But I want to say that he still leads the NFL in like red zone rushing attempts. You know, so
They're
like
really good in the red zone.
You could form a fake argument if you wanted to say that like, well, the only reason he has so many stats and so many rushing touchdowns and rushing yards because he's got the ball in his hands all the time. You know, whereas Mahomes is doing what he's doing exclusively through the air. How do you compare those two? I don't know, you know, but to me, it's hard to. I look at like Hurts being effective in multiple phases, right? So to me, that's more valuable, I guess, than what Mahomes is doing. But everybody's got, you know, value is such a nebulous concept, right? So it's like how do you determine value anyway?
How
You
do
know,
you measure value?
go to Daryl Morey for that, for nebulous terms, you know.